but okay, it's fine. Can I make myself not so big? That's okay. Hi guys. I'm Jess. I have 75 days free from Kratom, which I'm very happy about. I'm a little nervous to share my story. I hope I can articulate my thoughts. But I'm just, I don't know, I'm so in love with this community and grateful for everybody. And I'm hoping that something in my story someone can relate to, or help them, or maybe you just want to listen and be like, oh, she's a cool chick and I want her to help me with my stuff right now. And I'm totally here for you. And you can DM me or, follow up with me in WhatsApp or Signal or whatever. I just love this community so much. It's done so much for me. And so I hope that sharing my story today will help somebody. So what I thought I would do, because everyone's done this differently. And so I was like, there's a couple addictions that I have, Kratom not being the only one. So I was thinking why don't I just kind of tell my story through some pivotal life experiences or people in my life that have, I think, contributed to where I'm at in my life. So I thought I would kind of go through that. And trigger warning, I will talk about some drugs like ecstasy, cocaine, opiates, Kratom, alcohol, and then there's some mental health as well that I will be talking about. So just before I jump in, I guess a little just intro about me. So I already said my name, Jess. I live in the Seattle area. I'm 45 years old. I'm married. I will be married for 20 years come this October, which is crazy. I have two kids, or two boys. One is 11, one is 14, and a dog, Ollie, which has he's known in many of the chats. And been with my company for 19 years. I work in the tech industry, but whatever, that's boring. So yeah, so that's just a little bit about me. Oh, I guess the other thing is I'm a soccer mom. My kids are really into sports. So I'm always on the baseball field, soccer field, track meet. My life is about my kids. I don't have hobbies, I have kids. So just a little bit about me before I get into my story. So let's get into it. Okay, my story. I guess I'll just kind of start off with childhood. I guess I'm the middle child. I have my mom and my dad. I was never really close with my mom. She was not somebody that I was bonded to, looked up to. She had a lot of mental health issues. And my sister and I would kind of describe her as a pill popper. She was just somebody that I didn't really, I guess, I don't know, just wasn't really close with. I was a daddy's girl through and through. My dad and I were super bonded. I think my mom had me and was here's your daughter, your fourth daughter. And so him and I were just super close. Yeah, he was really important in my life. He was a hero to me. He was a big track star growing up and ran track for Stanford. Should have gone to the Olympic trials, but was deployed to Vietnam. And so I think he kind of took me under his wing, thinking that I would be the next him. And so we bonded over training and doing all that. But then I wanted to party too much in high school, and so that didn't happen. But he was my rock. The other thing about my life and childhood is that I was Mormon. It's a very, very religious or very deep religion, and I grew up with these really strong beliefs in this religion that still to this day I have family that's in that religion, and have tried to put that on me, but you'll hear a little in a sec about what happens with that. And then the other thing about my childhood is like we moved a ton. We moved every year or 2 years. And I didn't really understand why. I learned that later in life, but like I started in like one example is in second grade. I started second grade in California. I was born in Northern California. Then we moved to Pennsylvania, and then I finished second grade in Virginia. And so it was just like very chaotic. And even like in my older years, we like would literally move down the street into a new house. And I was like, gosh, we're like always moving. Like that was just my life when I was younger. So yeah, so fast forward, about when I was 15, my parents decided to get a divorce. And at the same time, I was like, okay, I could stay in this religion or I could go. And my mom decided to leave. And so I did too. And that left with a lot of like fear, shame, and guilt. I was ridiculed actually, like in the religion. People did not, I was not like your typical Mormon, and I ran with a different crowd. And so I was like, I had no problem leaving. But when you leave a religion that you're so deep in, you leave with like a ton of fear and shame. And that has taken many, many years to kind of work through. That was also a time in my life where like you're starting to experiment. And so I'm 15 years old and decide that like drinking and smoking weed is like what's going to take me away and make me happy, and like just dove right into that. And I kind of would float back and forth between my parents. But I ended up, my mom had like a manic episode, and I took off and left her and moved in with my dad. And then my dad got married to a psycho stepmom and ended up kicking me out. So like it was just kind of a bit of a volatile and stable, and a lot of partying in high school. Then I go off to college, and I didn't. So the other thing about like this time of my life is I didn't understand that I had anxiety. I even actually had some like OCD tendencies that I remember. I had no idea what it was, and drinking was like the way that it would make me feel like just kind of numbed and like better. Like I could tackle anything, like go to parties, especially in college when you're meeting like a ton of new people. So drinking became like the thing that would like get me through my emotions and this anxiety. I also had like a running addiction in college because like I liked the feel of those endorphins, didn't know that running was that made me feel better, but it did. And so I basically got through my freshman year of college from running. The other thing about college was that's when I was introduced to ecstasy and cocaine. And so we would do that. And it was fun, but like for some reason I was like, okay, I really need to get good grades. So I can't like take cocaine every weekend because I don't want to get addicted to it. Like for some reason my brain was like smart enough to be like, no, like don't let yourself get addicted to that. Just stick with the weed and the alcohol. So I was like, okay. But it was the summer after freshman year that I was at my best friend's house, and we like her parents were gone, and there was 4 older guys. We'd always call them older guys that came over to her house, and it was her and I, and 2 of them were like the town drug dealers, and they brought a bunch of ecstasy, and we decided to do a bunch of it that night. And I proceeded to have like an 8-hour panic attack, and I just like walked around all night and like flung this like fuzzy pen, and I like basically wanted to die. It was like the worst night of my life. And I never really like came off of that panic feeling. And I ended up like going to the doctor, and turns out like they were like, well, you have this thing called anxiety and you need to take this antidepressant. And so I was like, oh, okay. That's what I've been feeling for, like these last, 3-4 years. So I started taking this antidepressant, and life started to get better. like I was able to, I think, like cope, and that panic feeling went away. So then fast forward to a couple, like later, I was in still in college. I was able to kind of maintain. I never touched ecstasy or cocaine again. Still just like was heavy into the booze. Like partying was life. And I was studying abroad out of the country, and I get a call one day, and my mom was like, "Oh, hey, your dad and I are getting married again." And I was like, "Oh, Mom, you like dad?" Like, okay. So I've been out of the country, didn't know that they were like in love again or even like seeing each other. So my parents get remarried, and the family's like back together. My dad's still Mormon, my mom's not. So they kind of figure that out. But yeah, so life was, I think it was okay. Then I'm in my mid-20s, I meet my husband, I get married. We actually have a great like 5 years of marriage. Like we love to like travel, party. I was more of the like, I need to drink every night. He was more of the like, I don't need to. And I'm like, well, that's what people do when you get home from work. You drink alcohol, like you drink wine or whatever. And he was like, no, I'm good. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's weird. But I also started my job or the company that I'm at now in like '06. And it was really stressful. And I just thought that like to get through work and life, I needed to drink. And so we drink. And then age 30 was kind of like the next pivotal time is when my parents decided to get divorced again. And this is where like this dad, this like father figure, this hero of mine that I had in my life, I like found out like who he really was, that he's this like narcissist, corrupt businessman. The reason why we moved so much was because he was like fired from a job or had like burned a relationship. He felt the need that he could just borrow anyone's money and not give money back. And so I had this like wake up call about him. Oh, and then I don't think I said this, but my parents got together because my dad had an affair on his first wife. And he had like 2 little girls. And so my parents got together and like had their own family. And so I had watched my half sisters like not really like my dad, and I didn't really understand it because like he was so cool in my eyes. And yeah, I found out really who he was. That he's this like narcissistic guy, shady guy. So anyways, he abandons my mom. I actually have my first son, and my mom has to move in with me. And so I'm dealing with like loss of my dad, this betrayal with him, first time mom, and my mom's living with me. And I decide to basically deal with that through drinking, and my drinking like really took off. This is when I just like would start to black out. I went to the ER for like, cutting open my finger. It was like a horrible experience. It was like the first time my husband really realized that like she's not a normal drinker. Like this, I mean, he knew I wasn't a normal drinker, but like this was like, it was a really bad ER experience and how I acted. And he started to kind of say things to me. My mom also, I apparently was monitoring my booze intake. And so I was like, great, I'm going to hide alcohol. And this is like when I started to become a closet drinker, like literally closet drinker. I'd have like whiskey or vodka in my closet. And so I would like always drink in there, but then like in public or in my house, I would have the wine or beer or whatever, or drinks we were having. But I always like, that's when I really started to hide it. This was also the time when my mom lived with us. She lived with us for like a year and a half. My mom's on Suboxone. She has like, I don't actually know why she's on it, but it's for pain. She was trying to come off of it, and she was trying to withdraw. And so she was prescribed like 2 like oxycodone and something else. I don't remember what it was, but she basically had 2 2 whole like prescriptions that had been filled, but she wasn't taking because she really couldn't come off of it. So she gave them to me. And that was like my first time where I was like, oh, I'm going to try these pills. And they were great. And so I would take those, ended up finishing those. I think I like probably staggered because I knew I couldn't like refill them. But yeah, that was like my first kind of experience with opioids. So then the next time I want to call it is like age 33. This is when I had my second son. And that was a difficult pregnancy. I actually drank alcohol through that. I didn't get drunk, but I would like drink wine because I was so anxious, and then I would have like panic attacks. I was just like, it was just a totally different pregnancy. And so I would like Google all the time, like how much can you drink? Like, can you drink during pregnancy? And it was just, I really battled with the mental aspect of it, but I did that, and I really heavily regret that. But he came out fine, but he was like just kind of a different baby. My kids are like polar opposite. And that's when my drinking like really escalated. The sizes of vodka bottles that I would hide in my closet and drink were just different. My son, like dealing with his first 3 years was just so hard. I struggle with that time of my life because I just feel like I wasn't really like there for him. We didn't bond, but I think I was just like so deep in my alcoholism that I like didn't know how to like deal with how challenging it was to like now have 2 kids, and he would like cry way more than my first son. And so my husband just remembers that as like being a really hard time for him, just to watch me and like how bad I was with my alcoholism, and then just dealing with Tyler. So by 36, I had made the decision. I was just so done at that point. I mean, like I had this whole system of this addiction of like, I had a laptop bag and how I would smuggle in the like half gallon of vodka, hide it in my closet, consume it like undetected, and then have to like throw away the bottles. And it was like exhausting. I also started to like have liver issues, and I found out that my grandfather and his father they died at 55 from liver disease. And so I was like, oh shit. Oh, somebody's unmuted. I think Sabrina, you're unmuted. And so I was like in this, like, just, I don't know if it was like a depression, but just like this awful state of my life where I was like, you're going to die. You have issues and you need to stop drinking. And so I came to the realization on my own. I did not know that my husband was planning to look into divorce because I was just like such a train wreck. And he was really proud of me that like I came to that conclusion. I ended up telling him, like, I showed him all my hiding spots, told him like the truth, because he was like, why are you always so drunk? And I'm like, well, I drink a lot of wine, whatever. And I ended up telling him, I'm like, well, it's because I'm pounding vodka in my closet, every day. And so he found a place for me. I was like, please don't send me away. Please don't send me away. I can't go away for 30 days. Like, I don't want people to know. This is so embarrassing. And so we ended up finding like an IOP, like intensive outpatient. And I did that for 6 months and was able to start my sobriety. The other thing about that time was my husband. So a week after I quit, he came home and was like, if you're not going to drink, I'm not going to drink either. I'm going to quit and I'm going to support you. And so he did. And he hasn't touched alcohol or smoked a joint or anything in like the last 9 years. And I will never, like, it's like the most special thing that anyone's ever done for me. And I'll always cherish that for what he did for me, because he's been like my biggest cheerleader and rock through like this addiction. And then I'll talk about Kratom, but it's just like, I even remember telling him, I'm like, no, you can't stop drinking. Like, we're gonna be this most boring couple. Cause I was like the life of the party. Like we were just like the biggest partiers. And I'm like, no, we can't, like, no, you have to still be who you are, because I can't be who I am anymore. And he's like, no, I'm gonna do this for you. And so I just, I'll always love him so much for that. Anyways, okay, so Kratom, that's what we're here for. So fast forward 5 years, I was able to remain sober for 5 years. And we remember COVID. I went through COVID, and that was like really hard. I don't use the word PTSD a lot, but like, I swear to God, I had PTSD from having to homeschool my kindergartner and my other son. My kindergartner had undiagnosed dyslexia and ADHD, and like, it was so hard. And my mother-in-law was dying of cancer, and I had to work full time. And so it was really hard. And I decided to pick up a bottle of wine, or I had a party at my house, I think it was, and I decided to drink. No one was home, and I started, like, they left a bottle, and I was like, I'm going to drink this wine. So I decided to relapse, and that kind of had like, I ended up having like a 5-month relapse. It was like very hidden, because like when I stopped the booze, which is very different than Kratom, I was like, it was like off the table. Like, you can't hide alcohol, right? It's like on your breath and just like the way you act. Whereas like Kratom, it was so easy to hide. And so anyways, I had that, but then I was like, I can't do this. What is the alternative to alcohol? Like, what is out there? I also started to take my dog's pain meds, and I would fill them for myself. He didn't really need them. Like, he needed his like gabapentin, but he had this tramadol prescription. I was like, ooh, let's try that. I remember I had tried some of my mom's pills, and that was really good, but would like run out, and my tolerance would like bump up. And so I was like, oh, I can't sustain this with my dog's prescription. So I listened to a podcast one day, and this was like February of 2022. And they talked about Feel Freeze, those like blue bottle devils. And they were like, oh, it was so great. I was so creative. After I took it. And so I was like, oh, I want to try that. So I ordered a box, and like the first time I took it, it was like, whoa, I am like, my brain's like firing all cylinders. And I remember going to the bus stop, and I was like, wow, like I'm super chatty. And it was like, it was just I just felt like, whoa, this is something that's kind of like alcohol, opiates. Like, it felt good. And so I would order these boxes online. I remember it kind of made me sick in the car once. And so I was like, okay, don't like take too much. I even went on a Reddit, not the Feel Free like Reddit, to get off of it, like the one that was like, how many can you take? Because I would take like one, and I'm like, wait, can I take more? Because it kind of wears off. So I got the green light from Reddit to take more. And for like the first 6 months, I didn't take like a ton. Like, this was like me still dabbling. But I would like consistently have the boxes come. I even had like the box like in the kitchen, like out in the oven. I'd like give it to a friend and stuff. My husband, I gave one to my friend once, and she like passed out for a couple hours. So my husband was like, what is that? And he started looking at Kratom, and he was like, oh, I don't know if this is good stuff. I'm like, it's totally fine. I just feel a little buzz, like a little euphoric. It's not alcohol. It's totally fine. And so he was like, okay. But then I found the store locator, and it was like game over. I could get it as much as I want, anytime. Oh, because what ended up happening was, it was like December of 2022. I had to look all this up in my journal, by the way. My birthday. My birthday's the day after Christmas, and it was my birthday. And we'd gone to dinner, could like not eat dinner. Everyone's like, "Why aren't you eating dinner?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm just not that hungry." And then I went to bed, or I tried to go to bed that night, and I had like the worst restless leg syndrome because my shipment didn't show up in time, and so I like was in withdrawals, didn't have a clue what that was, what was going on. And so I was like, okay, you can never run out of this stuff again. And so I always just made sure to have, enough. And then over the next couple of years, so that was 2022. And so those next 2 years were basically like, I just started taking it more and more. You get like that tolerance too. And so eventually, like, gosh, there would be days where I'd take like up to 8 to 10. But the problem is that I have to travel a lot for work and like internationally. And so I couldn't take it. So I was in this constant, like, you're taking it, and then I'd have to like withdraw. And so I would learn to taper to then be off and like be okay by the, like, so I would take like one the day that I had to fly. And then I'd be like on the plane, like super sweaty. And then like, you're not able to like sleep, and it's just horrible. But I would like get in this rhythm of like, take it. And then by the time I'd be back from my trips, I would be like, well, I need that again. And like, I just couldn't get out of that like horrible cycle. I ended up losing weight, like it kind of dramatically after the first year of being in that awful cycle. Gosh, people were like noticing, and they're like, oh, wow, you're losing weight. Like, what are you doing? And for a female, when you lose weight, it's like, oh, you look good. What are you doing? What's your secret? And I'm like, nothing. And people are like, what? And I'm like, literally, I'm not doing anything. But the cycle of withdrawing so much or being on it, I just couldn't really eat like a normal human. And I would say withdrawing so much is what like caused a lot of that. My husband started to notice, like, why does your stomach hurt? Why are you in bed again? Like, the withdrawals just became unmanageable. But I ended up losing like 30 pounds over those 2 years. And like, it was just disaster. My stomach was so torn up. My skin was awful. I ended up being so tired all the time. Sex drive, not there. And yeah, I took the feel freeze. I did dabble in pills. Like, there was a time where I was in a town and I couldn't get the feel freeze. And so I had tried the pills, but I couldn't like get high from them. Sorry if I'm like talking about stuff that people like, trigger warning. The pills like wouldn't be enough for me. Like, I couldn't get high from them. But it would like help me get to enough to when I could like get back to the feel freeze. Like, I was oblivious to all the other stuff. I tried the focus and flows as well. In fact, one of my dealers was like, or people were like, hey, if you get more dependent or you get a tolerance on feel freeze, you should try these. And so I was like, oh, okay, yeah, because I am. And it was just awful. But anyways, let me talk about how I ended that. So the endless cycle of withdrawing and just like the dread, the physical side effects, the money flying out the window, I was just like done. I had ended up telling my husband, I think it was like April of 24. And so he was like trying to help me. He's like, you're gonna go back and see a therapist. Like, this isn't healthy. So I ended up going to a therapist. She tried so hard to help me quit, and I just couldn't get past those 10 days of like sobriety. I just would go back every time, whether I was feeling good, feeling bad. But it wasn't until she was like, hey, maybe you need to find a community. So I was like, well, how do I do that? And she's like, why don't you just see if there's like a podcast or something too? And so I went and found the Quitting Kratom. I forget what the podcast is called, but I found the podcast, listened to an episode, and it was Meredith. I don't know if Meredith's on this call, but Meredith, it was her episode, and her story was so like mine. She was taking 8 to 10 a day. She had 2 boys. Like, she didn't realize what it was when she started taking it. And I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe there's someone out there that's like me. And I ended up somehow finding out that, and she talked about a WhatsApp or something like that, or Reddit. I don't remember what it was. Anyways, found the Reddit, the WhatsApp, got into the WhatsApp in November and was like, oh my gosh, there's like 200 people. I was even shocked that there was 2,000 people on the Reddit. I was like, what? There's that many people that are struggling with quitting Kratom? Like, this is crazy. And so I found this group, the WhatsApp, and then found out there was meetings. I wasn't completely done. I think I was still like in multiple quits during that time. December of that year was awful. I think I kind of stayed off, but I would lurk, and I think I would interact a little bit. Like I remember Thanksgiving, I had quit for like a week or something. So I was like interacting with some people, but it wasn't until like the end of this last December that I was like, I am done. I have got to be done. Like I can't work like this. This is awful. Just everything that I described, all the side effects, the physical, everything. And so I ended up going to the meetings every day and leaning into the WhatsApp. I was like, oh, I'm going to lean in hard because I need support. And you can't just like sit on the sidelines. So you've got to like interact and talk with people. And to be honest, the connections and the friendship is what has gotten me to these 75 days. I did have 40 days. I went back out, whatever, took Kratom for 4 days, but like quickly was able to come back. And actually one of the hardest parts was telling the group. I was like, I felt so ashamed, and I know relapse is part of everyone's story, but like I had already started to build like such great friendships and accountability. And it was so hard just to be like, I failed, you guys, but I know that it's part of the story. But all I want to say, and then I will end, sorry, I know we're at time here. Connection is huge. This group has honestly been the reason why I am able to be sober. It's like more than just like quitting the Kratom. It's about what you do after. It's like those friendships and like helping each other through just like life. I was in a meeting and I was talking about like my religious trauma, and you know, Aaron and Mel created chat, and with Rami too. Like we are like talking me through like how to get through that. Like that's not just about Kratom, that's about life. Like there's so much support and love and that like I just get every day from the people that have been there with me from the beginning or that keep coming in. And I was telling Aaron and I was like, I think there's like a bigger reason. There's like, it's like destiny of why we are here in this moment in time, in this community, whether it's because we quit around the same time or because, you know, people have been around forever or new people come in, but like, there's something bigger that we don't understand, but let's like hold on to this. Because who knows how long, you know, we're going to be here. Like, it just feels so magical to be in this community and to be helping each other and to like be the reason that, you know, you're helping someone. And so the only advice I'd have is like, keep coming back and helping each other out. Like, be the reason someone feels loved or supported or heard, because it's meant so much to me throughout this journey. And it feels good to be able to give that back to each other. And so thank you. I know I just talked for a long time, probably more than I was supposed to, but I love you all. And thank you for everything that you've done and been there for me.
Thank you, Jess. I got a billion things I could say, but I won't. That was amazing, though. You did absolutely great. Yeah, I know you just touched a shitload of people. That was